Willie D. Live.
Tony Bugsby got 120 of them. What do you think about Tony Bugsby?
Well, I don't know him personally because I know he's down here with y'all, but somebody in L.A. is suing him, right, for extortion. Let me explain extortion in layman's terms. When you try to say, hey, if you don't do this, I'm going to do this to you, meaning that I'm going to expose you, I'm going to expose some information about you, or I'm going to do threat to your family.
Cause you some type of harm.
Absolutely, cause you some type of harm. Now, the problem with that lawsuit, because I've read a little bit of it, I didn't read the whole thing, but whoever the unnamed celebrity is, to my understanding, according to the lawsuit, that they haven't paid Tony Bugsby anything. He alleged that, I'm saying the unnamed celebrity alleges in the lawsuit that Tony Bugsby is trying to get me to pay. And if I don't pay, he's going to, expose me. Mm-hmm. Well, the problem in California, extortion, the civil act of, not criminal, but the civil act of extortion, you're going to have to pay first. That's one of the elements. Then you can sue for extortion, right? But if you haven't paid, it's not going to go anywhere. But he did add, I keep saying he.
What's the difference between extortion and blackmail?
Same thing. It's in interchangeable terms. I think in the old English common law, it was called blackmail under the color of law, under the color of a badge, because typically law enforcement would blackmail people under the color of their badge. If you don't do this, I'm going to take you to jail. Same scenario, right? But extortion and blackmail, just interchangeable terms. I think, but the actual California code calls it extortion nowadays. Same thing, though. So, but he did add to his, I keep saying the unnamed celebrity did add intentional infliction of emotional distress. That's a viable claim. But the extortion, if you haven't paid Tony Bugsby, you're not going to get anywhere with the extortion. The California courts are not going to let you. You have to pay first. So, hey, Willie, if you don't give me this, I'm going to expose. And you said, man, I'm not paying you nothing. I'm Willie D. Well, if you don't pay, you can't sue me for extortion because you didn't pay me anything. There are no damages. So that's what that is. So, yeah, I heard a lot about him with his 120. And he had a hotline, I think, or something. If you
was that going too far? Is that crossing the ethical boundaries for an attorney? When an attorney, I know that you have hotlines when there's major class action lawsuits against corporations and things.
100%.
But to come up with a hotline for a sexual assault victims, for sexual assault victims.
Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah, alleged sexual assault victims. Mm-hmm. Is that crossing the legal lines?
No, because if you look at the federal prosecutions in Diddy's case, they said the same thing. If anybody out there has been a victim or think you have some information, please contact the federal government.
Well, let me back up. Let me say the ethical lines. Is that ethical in your opinion?
When you try and seek justice, I think so. You just don't cross a line to solicit. There's a difference between advertising and solicitation. Solicitation is when you go to the person directly who don't even know you. Hey, man, I heard you had this case. Let me be your attorney.
That's solicit. Right.
Advertise, as you see every day on TV. Did you take PPO or whatever? Call this law firm and da-da-da-da-da-da. That's advertising. It seems that Tony Bugsby is advertising. So that, it's close, but that still seems to be within the realms of ethics. If not, the state bar will talk to him soon, if that's not the case.
Well, that is about to open up an entire new lane for lawsuits, because up until then, I don't think I've ever heard an individual, I don't think I've ever heard someone going after an individual with a hotline. I don't think I've ever, I've heard them go after, corporations all the time. I've heard that all the time.
But a private individual.
But private individuals, I've never heard that before. So I think it's about to be on around here. And if that's the case, and if it is ethical, then that shit was brilliant. It was brilliant because now people don't have to guess how to get in contact with him or where he is, or people that may be all the way in Spain somewhere. You say, okay, what's the number? Let me hit this number up, and the floodgates just open up. But also, I think that it kind of, as brilliant as it was, I do think that it compromises the integrity of their claims to an extent, because you can have people who don't even know Diddy, had never even met Diddy, saying, hey, I got a case, and just spin a story.
That's a good point, Willie. Every attorney has an ethical duty to only bring, here's the language, meritorious claims. You cannot, as an attorney, you cannot bring a claim that's frivolous, worthless, wasting the court's time. You will get disciplined by the state bar. So what he needs to do, I'm not going to tell Tony Buxby how to run his office, but if he's going to have all these people calling him, he better have some serious vetting of these claims, because if at any point this judge finds out that he didn't, he's bringing these meritless claims, he's going to have some problems.